let's do a little goal update, shall we? I'm gonna take you along with me while I'm going on my walk. So, wash my face before going to bed, kneel for my prayer at bedtime, spend some time talking about gratitude each night, track my spending, study my scriptures once a week, and sacrifice each day. So, my goals have been awesome. I've really enjoyed these goals so far. And it's really cool to make these challenges because these are things that I've been wanting to do that I just haven't been able to get myself to do. And I'm totally making them part of my life now. I wash my face every night before I go to bed, and I kneel down every time when I go to bed. And I have my app where I do my gratitude. I'll tell you some of the stuff that I'm grateful for. And tracking spending, that one has been really cool. So I used to track my spending once a week. And like I've said before, anytime you have a goal that's only once a week, it seems like it's really hard to actually make it happen and you don't have time. So I decided to do it once a day, just at the end of the day. I go through what I actually spent that day. And I think it's been super helpful because I feel like sometimes you feel stressed about money just because of the unknown. You're not really sure what's happening. And so when you take time at the end of each day, then you're like, oh, I don't need to feel so stressed because I know I spent this and I spent this. And it also helps you, right? Because there's less of that unknown, then you are more aware when you make decisions. And instead of maybe making some impulse purchases, you're like, oh, I know how much money I've already spent today or this week or whatever. But it's been kind of cool because I just do it on my habit tracker app. I think probably originally I would have told myself to do it on a spreadsheet, which is what I've always done. But I like tracking it on the app because it just helps you see the emotional side of it, which they say is a lot with spending, is so much of it is emotional. Kind of like track it in an emotional way. It's been really helpful to me. Gratitude. There is so much good stuff happening and it's been really cool to write down. I write down 3 things I'm grateful for at the end of each day. I have this app, Gratitude Plus, where it prompts me to do that each night before I go to bed. And it's been really cool because I've actually started recording more than 3. So it's really exciting because it's encouraging you and it gets your mind in that mindset. So here's some of the things I am grateful for this week. So one of the days I got to read a novel in the middle of a day. So when I think about my future self, one of the things that I want to be able to do is to have the freedom to read, just sit down and read a book in the middle of the day because I'm just really on top of my life and I have some free time to do stuff like that. And I don't know that I necessarily had the time, but I did do it and it was super fun. And I loved just feeling like I can do whatever I want and I'm choosing to read a book right here in the middle of the day. And then my kids are doing this fun Secret Santa thing for their siblings. And on Sunday afternoon, we just spent a lot of time talking about different things that people wanted and different things like that. And it was really fun. And especially my husband is really busy on Sundays right now. And so really made the time go by quickly. So I was grateful for that. And then the weather has been great. I am so appreciative of this cooler weather. I used to have a really hard time with the cold, but thinking about how much colder it's going to get, I've just been really grateful for this mild fall that we've been having. And then I'm also really grateful for my healthy body. I was lifting weights the other day and I just thought, I'm so grateful that my body can get stronger and I don't have any sicknesses or illnesses or problems that prevent me, and that I'm still young and able to do these kinds of things. So I was really grateful for that. And then sometimes my kids, when they do their extracurriculars, they get frustrated and they're like, oh, I'm not good at this, or oh, this is so hard, or whatever. And one day I picked up my daughter. She was in a really good mood, just felt really good about herself. And so I was grateful for that. And then we went to a Veterans Day program for my daughter, and it just made me really grateful for all the veterans and all they've sacrificed. And I was grateful I got to slow down and think about that. And lastly, sacrifice. One of the things that we did to sacrifice as a family is we cleaned the church. So in our church, they do this rotation where different families rotate cleaning the church. So it ends up being where we live, it ends up being about 4 Saturdays a year that you end up needing to do some kind of cleaning at the church. And I actually have some friends who are mad about this fact because they feel like the church can pay somebody to clean, but that's not really the point, right? It's to help you feel like responsible for the building and to come to love the Lord's house. And I have memories of cleaning the church growing up. And I feel like it's really important and valuable for your family and for your kids. And I do. I always feel that way every single time after we clean the church. I'm grateful we did this. But it is a sacrifice, especially on Saturdays. Our Saturdays are wild. But I was glad we got to do that. And then I also have been feeling like it's such a sacrifice sometimes to make content. I've been trying to treat making content like a job. And just like with any job, there's days that you don't want to do it. Or there's tasks you have to do that you don't actually like that much. And I've been telling myself, this is a sacrifice. This is helping me get better. This is something I feel called to do. And so even though some days I would rather not do it, I am choosing to make this sacrifice and do something that maybe it's not my favorite thing to do. Along those same lines, I have done some sprinting in the last week. As far as my walking goes, I try to add in some sprinting, and I don't really like to do that. I don't like running, and it hurts. But it's something that I am sacrificing because I feel like it's good for my body, something my body needs. So that's worth the sacrifice to me. And then, like I talked about on Sunday, my husband had a lot he needed to do. He was gone most of the day on Sunday. And that wasn't a sacrifice that I personally had to make, but you have to support people who have to make sacrifices. I think it's another important lesson for you and for your kids to recognize that, hey, sometimes other people have to make big sacrifices and you have to be understanding and gracious and helpful. And then lastly, another sacrifice I thought of was that I made dinner early for one of my daughters. One of my daughters is a dancer and she's been practicing for the Nutcracker, and so she had an extra long dance practice. But it was something that I really felt like it was a sacrifice I could make. I could move some things around in my schedule to make sure that dinner was ready so that she didn't have to go quite so long without eating. And so I was glad that I was able to do that sacrifice for her. And I've also been doing my scripture study once a week. I love it so much. I don't necessarily study my scriptures. I use it as a time to do things that are important to me spiritually, read different books. I'm reading one about the cross, and then do my studying on sacrifice. I have learned so much about sacrifice, and hopefully when I feel like I've gained enough knowledge, I'll make a video on it and just share a lot of the things I've learned. It's been really cool and I've really enjoyed it. And so that's my update for today. Bye.